And we thank you for being here today to celebrate and worship with us. And I'm going to turn things right over to Mitch, who is going to guide us through our program this morning. Thank you for being here, Mitch.
Good morning, everyone. I can honestly say this is the first time I've ever been an MC. I kind of feel like I do this almost on a daily basis in my work, because when you're in the classroom with kids, it's kind of just like this. So bear with me. I also had something else prepared, and then when I got here, that kind of all switched just a little bit. So I'm going to start out by robbing Late Night, Jimmy Fallon. Welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thanks for being here today. It's wonderful to see everybody, and we hope that you'll enjoy what we're presenting to you today. I wanted to start just a little bit, and it won't take long, I promise you. When Tammy asked me to MC, I thought, what would be a good thing to start with? And I thought to myself, what does the number 70 mean in the Bible? And so I did a lot. You can dig into this for a long, long time. So I just wanted to give you just a little bit, and if you want more, maybe we can just have one Bible study on that sometime. The number 70 is two perfect numbers. The number 7, which represents perfection. The number 10, which represents completeness and God's law. I found differing versions on how many times, because that's how I put it in. How many times is 70 mentioned in the Bible? Wow, did I get some different answers. I think I could have swore I saw one that was 12,440 some, and then another one that said 61 times in the King James Version. So what kind of company are we in, celebrating 70? I'm just going to mention just a few of the times it's mentioned in the Bible. Christ presented at least 70 parables during his ministry. 70 times 7, the number of times we should forgive. 70 years in captivity in Babylon. 70 elders, which Moses was a part of choosing to lead the people. And there were also 70 elders of the Sanhedrin. Just that much. And I could tell you I could have spent a whole day on it. And with that, what I'd like to do is introduce Bill Pringle, who's going to talk about how we have been honoring 70 years for the past year.
Thank you, Mitch. What I'm seeing in front of me is just awesome. You know, I wrote down, we are here today in a showing of strength and commitment, and I had no idea who was going to be here. You know, I had a good feeling, but there's a lot of familiar faces, and I love it. So it's really showing me our strength and commitment in this community. It's awesome. Beaver Lake has been around for 70 years. 70 years. It's like Mitch is thinking about. Probably dig into that forever, is right. This is a wonderful gathering of worship and serving our community over 70 years. Beaver Lake's been a part of that. That's awesome. Today we commemorate our anniversary with the final act of fellowship. So many church members have participated throughout the years, sharing their love for the community and each other by welcoming our neighbors, We had National Night Out, like Pastor Tammy said. What a great night to welcome our neighbors and invite them to join us. And we've been providing the community throughout the year with baskets of produce. At the beginning, we had hats, mittens, and backpacks for the kids. We've donated bags of groceries in support of families. But here's the key, I think. We've lifted our own spirits by singing our favorite hymns, saying our prayers, thinking about the Bible verses that really move us. But our main meal of nourishment and food for our souls is the love for our neighbors and our random acts of kindness. There are so many random acts of kindness that have happened here over the years. Showing people that you care and willingness to help them out feeds our souls. I feel it. We get so much satisfaction and gratification from helping each other that those random acts of kindness are twofold. They're helping you and the others. All I can say is, thank you, Lord, for giving us, for guiding us, and helping us. And thank you all for participating in celebrating 70 years here at Beaver Lake Lutheran Church and our ministry. Thank you.
Memories. Bill just mentioned a bunch, and I think you're going to hear more. I'll share just one memory of almost the very first time that I came here. And it wasn't the first time, a little later. My parents came with me, my aunt and uncle, who at that point lived not far from here near Battle Creek, came as well. And so one of my strongest starting memories here was my father was looking around the building and he wandered over to the older part of the building and he came back and he said, he looked at my aunt and he said, "Why is that building so familiar?" She gibsed him and said, "Well, Mike, that's where you did your first sermon." So there's a hold here for me in that way, but there's a hold for me in many other ways. So that's the oldest memory. I'm going to give you the newest one. I have never in my life seen before communion being served two different ways in the same service. Did you notice it this morning? Did anybody notice this morning? What a memory. With that, I'm going to let Susan McGarthwaite take over with other memories.
Lots of memories. Hello, welcome. I'm Susan McGarthwaite. I have been, and I think this is my claim to fame, I believe I'm the longest attending member here at Beaver Lake Church. The only one I'm questioning are the trustmans, and I think I beat you guys. I think I beat you guys, so that's my claim to fame, and I think that's why I'm up here. Gosh, memories, so many memories. So how did I get to be the longest attending member of Beaver Lake Church? So as it was mentioned, Beaver Lake started in '53, purchasing the land, and before the first building was built, they actually met up at Beaver Lake Church, or Beaver Lake, school. '54, my parents, Lou and Tom Larson, moved right across the street from the church, right there on McKnight. They built their house in 1954, and they joined the church. They missed being charter members by 1 year. But needless to say, they were very active members of the church, you know, being in such close proximity. My mom became the secretary of the church under Pastor Grossman and continued being the secretary for 30 plus years. I can't even remember how long. And then after she retired, came back and continued volunteering in the office until about 2019. And she continued to live over there until 2021. As they say, East Siders don't move very far from the East Side. I moved out to Oakdale. So it just seemed natural that this would be the church that I would stay at. And I was baptized here, I was confirmed here, I was married right here 40 years ago. So lots and lots of memories. Probably the most memories that growing up is with this land. This was our playground. So you can imagine, we had tons of fun over here. Over here where the community garden is on McKnight, that used to be just dirt. And I would go agate hunting over there. Then they put down grass, and that would be where we'd play our neighborhood games, you know, softball or whatever. Over there where the holding pond is, where it's fenced in, that used to be our swamp. And we would go over there and collect, you know, turtles and frogs, and we would build tree houses. And I started thinking about, why did they let us build tree houses? Wouldn't that be a liability? But anyways, and in the winter, it became our skating rink. And out of that was a little brook, and the brook would run over here by McKnight and down by Stillwater. And when it rained, it would be a little brook, and we would, you know, race boats down there. And then over here, where we have our vegetable garden, there used to be a hill, until it was plowed down. But that was a place that we would slide, and we would, you know, roll down in the summer. So a lot of my memories are around the land here. But then the building, the first building that we now call the chapel, that was built in '54, that's where we had all of our services. And then the children would be downstairs. We had our Sunday school classes downstairs. And that's where we had our potlucks. And to this day, I'm like, how did we fit in there? This was in the 50s, the baby boomer years. And soon they built the education building over here. So then all the Sunday school classes moved over there, and that's where our big events would be. And we'd have to walk back and forth in winter too. Then in the early 70s is when they started building this sanctuary. And before we were in the sanctuary, we would hold services over in the education building. And then the offices moved over to the education building. So that became kind of the hub of all of our activity. And then the sanctuary was put up in the early 70s. And I think what I remember the most about the sanctuary growing up is my mom was involved with the building committee. And what I remember are the many, many hours they put into designing this facility and making sure it was just right. And she would have many, many meetings, and at night people would call and say, hey, is your mom home? Nope, she's at a building committee meeting. So a lot of love went into this. And one of the funny stories is she was very particular about things in the church. And the red pads that you're sitting on, she did not want those. And she kept, no. And the reason being is that the sanctuary was designed for the acoustics. And she said, well, if you put those pads in there, it's going to take away from the acoustics. But I think we can all say we're probably happy that sitting on those pads. And I think she probably agreed with that too, that they're very comfortable. So a lot of memories around the buildings, around the land. But a lot of memories around the people, and a lot of people throughout the years who have come and gone, and who have really made Beaver Lake what it is today. And a lot of those faces are here today. And those people who, as Pastor Tammy was saying, the good times and the challenging times. And yes, we did have challenging times as well as all our good times. But people, you know, they put in the work, they dedicated, committing themselves to making Beaver Lake what it is today. And they were the heart and soul, and are the heart and soul of Beaver Lake. So those people, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about people who have come and gone, but those are the memories I have of the hard work that's gone into making us who we are today. And so I think celebrating 70 years, I think we have to celebrate that we have land that we are giving back, that with our community gardens or with all the different programs that we have for our community. We're giving back with our buildings. All our buildings are being used. We have great partnerships with Calvary's Cross and with the daycare. Other groups who come in here and use this. This is a church that's being used, and it's good to see and to know that it's always busy, that there's always something going on here. And then the mission work that this church has done, and it's amazing how much we've accomplished, throughout the 70 years, and still accomplished today with the outreach work that we do. I say we're a small church, but we're a mighty church, and we have accomplished a lot. So those are just some of my memories. I know a lot of you have a lot of memories too, and hopefully we can share those memories as we gather afterwards. And as Pastor Tammy said, the hope for more memories as Beaver Lake goes forward. So thank you.
Small but mighty certainly describes this congregation. I think you cannot live with a congregation and have this much history without having some fun. I don't know, I don't even know if this publication is still out there. I think it is. Lutheran Digest? Is it still in written form? I don't know. I wanted to just share a story with you before I hand it over to somebody else. A little girl was sitting on her grandfather's lap as he read her a bedtime story. From time to time, she would take her eyes off the book, reach up and touch his wrinkled cheek. She was alternately stroking her own cheek, then his again. Finally, she spoke up and she said, "Grandpa, did God make you?" "He sure did, honey, a long time ago." "Well, did God make me too?" "Well, yes, indeed," he said, "honey. God made you just a little while ago, though." Feeling their respective faces one more time, she observed, "Hey, God's getting better at it now, isn't he?" And with that, I'd like to introduce Yvonne and Peggy, who are going to do a little acting or something, I understand, for us.
Sunday mornings at Beaver Lake Lutheran Church started out with our growing family. We became members here in 1957 with Alfred Grossman as our pastor. We worshiped in the chapel, which was built by talented members of the congregation. Eventually, the chapel became too small to hold the members, so we moved services to the education hall for a few years. The present church was built in 1973 with Roy Gustafson as our pastor. There were over 200 children in our Sunday school, 25 members at least in our choir, and 2 services were held for a few years. We had a Lutheran League, fellowship club, women's circles, and so many other activities, such as softball, baseball, dartball, with and against other churches. Many musicals and plays were performed with Pastor Jerry officiating and directing. My fondest memories of Beaver Lake Lutheran Church are of being in worship with my family and church family, and hearing the word of the Lord from our dedicated and devoted pastors. I want to congratulate Beaver Lake Lutheran Church and all the members and all the people in the past and future for our 70 years. Let's go on for another 70. Now, Yvonne, what are your fondest memories of Beaver Lake Lutheran Church?
One of my first memories as a child at Beaver Lake was of a children's group called Mission. Mrs. Shodall and Mrs. White were the leaders, and they planned church projects for us. Every Sunday, my sisters and I attended Sunday school. At first, at the basement of the church, until the education building was built. I remember hearing many Bible stories, memorizing Bible verses, and singing songs. Virginia Nelson was the Sunday school superintendent at that time. We participated in children's Christmas pageants. I seem to recall that I was an angel. Though my parents maybe disagreed. My sisters and I sang in the children's choir. Mrs. Dorothy Johnson was the director. We practiced every Wednesday after school. A few times my sisters and I sang as a group during the church services. My memories of Bible school for 1 week in the summer are being with my church friends, doing crafts, learning about the Bible, playing outside games, and especially my favorite one was having Kool-Aid and homemade cookies, and having a sing-along in the sanctuary with Pastor Grossman. I remember he would have us singing songs as a competition. Which side of the sanctuary could sing the loudest? The B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. In my junior high years, for a week in the summer, I would get on a school bus with some of my church friends, Carrie, Debbie, Laurel, Carol, Kieran, Joel, Dave, and kids from other churches, and we headed to Reamer, Minnesota, to Luther Dell Bible Camp. I have many fond memories of fun and fellowship during those years at camp. Luther League was another memory of fun and fellowship during my junior and senior high school years. Luther Seminary students were hired to be the youth directors. Rex Schwartz, Mr. Anderson, and Jack Vonderlack were a few of them. Once a month, there were activities planned, such as bowling, roller skating, Halloween costume parties, hay rides, to name a few. I remember my sleeve on my new fashionable pea jacket was torn completely off as I was pushed off the wagon on a hayride. Funny what memories would come back. I attended confirmation and was confirmed with all the same church friends, who to this day are still my friends. Pastor Grossman was our teacher. One memory that stands out from confirmation was that our group attended many religious services of other faiths, from the Jewish synagogue to the Catholic Mass. We came back and discussed those religious beliefs and compared them to our Lutheran beliefs. I learned a lot from that experience. As the years passed as a member of Beaver Lake, I was married here. Our 2 sons were baptized and confirmed here, and one of them was married here as well. I will never forget my many wonderful memories of all the people and friends, pastors and experiences I have had over the 50+ years at Beaver Lake that have shaped me to be the faithful Christian person I believe I am. Congratulations, Beaver Lake.
Let me give you one more, let's see if my phone works. One more little story. I want you to think of this little boy as seeking out his partnerships and thinking about his future, because that's the next part that somebody's going to speak on. One Sunday in a Midwest city, a young child was acting up during the morning worship. The parents did their best to maintain some sense of order in the pew, but they were losing a battle. Finally, the father picked up the little fellow, walked sternly up the aisle on his way out. Just before reaching the safety of the foyer, the little guy grabbed the door frame, called out loudly to the congregation, "Pray for me! Pray for me!" Now I'd like to have Deb come up. Deb wants to talk to us a little bit about Beaver Lake's past and future.
Good morning. I have a few words to say to you this morning, and they all come from my heart. My husband, Wuzzy, and I came to this church about 18 years ago. We found a place to belong, to serve. We built relationships, some which are lifelong friendships. We learned about our partners that have been referred to here, Calvary's Cross, Achieve Language Academy, Corey's Kids Daycare. I had the opportunity to serve on Enduring Gifts and learn about the amazing ways this small church affects the community. We had a chance to grow in faith. And those of you who knew my husband will understand when I say we had the chance to eat cookies. Beaver Lake is a place of miracles, real miracles. We were chosen, our tiny little church, to receive a hunger grant for our second community garden. We were chosen as one of a small handful in the United States, not in Minnesota, but in the whole United States, to receive that grant. That's a miracle. We recently were able to enjoy another miracle when this tiny church raised over $20,000 to fund two, okay, I lost my words, folks, two people, there we go, to work, one in our office and one on IT. Beaver Lake is a place of unsung heroes, and we carry holes in our hearts for some of those who have left us too soon. We also have unsung heroes who are still with us. Joel, who is a tireless servant of our church, and his face is probably red, but it has to be said, Joel, because you are. And Bev, who so adeptly managed all of the details of our fall fair. Beaver Lake is a place of true community. This became very, very clear to me 5 months ago when my beloved husband died. And you all taught me about true community. There was an explosion of kindness, compassion, love, the words that you said, the hugs that you gave, the cards that you sent, the phone calls. The volunteers in the kitchen who set up beautiful tables so that all my guests would be served. They were gracious hostess. What an incredible gift. And that's true community. Today, it's Reformation, but I've had a chance to think about what that means, and we have the opportunity to reform our church as we grow into the future. We have a gifted pastor who builds relationships, She seeks out opportunities for collaboration. She has well-honed leadership skills. And best of all, she loves us and she's committed to our congregation. We will be gathering a visioning team who will work in love and in hope and in grace to discern our way forward. Our world is changing. Our whole denomination is changing. The synod is changing, and our church will need to change to move forward. But I have complete faith that we can and will do that if we always remember that we are a community led by God. Thank you.
Jimmy Fallon, I have not. I forgot a part of the program. So, do you guys want to back up? Sure. Okay. We're going to have you watch and listen. a good educator, you can never forget that you must teach 3 ways. Teach so that people hear, students hear. Teach it again so they can see it. And teach it a 3rd time so they can do it. You've heard it today. You've seen it today. And next, we get to go eat cake and do it. Just a small prayer. Lord, thank you. Thank you for 70 years. Thank you for the small but mighty congregation that Beaver Lake is, and Beaver Lake will continue to be. We thank you for the memories of those who have gone. We thank you for the fun. We have so much fun here, so much laughter. We thank you for all that we do, all that we've done in the past, all that we'll do in the future. Bless us as we move forward into a new vision. Thank you again for the 70 years. And with that, in the final words of Jimmy Fallon, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I guess it wasn't as funny when he did it either.
Thank you, friends, for joining us again today, and thank you for the beautiful memories that were shared. I want to invite everyone to come up to the chancel area. We are going to take a picture together, and then we'll eat cake.